Hello, it is Jessica Weaver, and I am blessed with my beautiful mother on with us today for our Wine and Wealth Wednesday. So, cheers, Mom. I love
Cheers.
spending time with you, even virtually, and drinking some good wine. And I wanted to bring you on, one for Mother's Day, two, because you have an amazing story, what you went through growing up, how you've made this amazing life for yourself. And third, also because your story, your mom's story, is in our first book, Strong Woman, Stronger Assets. And it is quite a story. It is quite a tale. It is chapters 2 and 3 of this book. So if you want to know more after today, get my first book, Strong Woman, Stronger Assets. So, Mom, you grew up in a divorced family.
Yes.
And back then, how common was divorce?
It was so uncommon that we were not allowed to, or the neighborhood children were not allowed to play with us because we were a broken family. And it was basically an upper middle class neighborhood. Funnily enough, by the time I graduated from high school, most of the other parents were divorced. But, I was only 2 when they separated, 4 when they divorced. So
that's a very young age, and unfortunately you're part of the trend. You were early to the trend, I guess.
Yes.
Because now more and more we see divorces, all ages, even after 20-30 year marriages.
Yes.
Divorced. So that must have played a part on some confidence. I would have felt really bad about myself if the kids were told not to play with me for something that wasn't in my control.
Yes, it all around was uncomfortable. The situation. My mother was unstable and my father wasn't there. It was not fun.
Yeah. I can sense it on you right now. I'm going to get emotional thinking about it. But today I want to talk to you because this happens so much where our household's divided, and money usually is a conflict in marriages. It's a touchy subject. There's a lot of resentment and anger, whether you want it there or not. Kids see it. Did you ever see your parents fighting about money?
Again, they divorced so young. I really don't remember much of them together. However, with the divorce, there was constant arguing over who was going to pay for the children. There were 3 of us, our dentists, our glasses, our clothing, our schooling. In that sense, there was to the bitter end, there was arguing.
And both of them remarried.
Yes, makes it even worse.
Think your now stepdad and stepmom added fuel to that fire?
Absolutely. And then when you have a half sibling, it makes it even worse. So I did have one half sibling, my father's marriage, they had a child.
Now, did they operate around money differently? Like, was one a spender, one a saver? Were they on separate pages when it comes to money?
Completely. My father was raised by a German grandmother, a German mother, an only child, an only grandchild, and was very, very, very spoiled. He always spent on himself. So he was supposed to pay for our college. So when my brother Guy went to college, he bought himself a 23-foot sailboat.
Oh my gosh.
When my other brother was supposed to go to college, he bought himself a recreational vehicle. So they both went to military academy. And if you don't mind me jumping ahead, when I went to college, I spent a year at community college, which I paid for. Then my sophomore year, I went away to college, and that January, my father passed. So that year was paid for by his estate, but my junior and senior year, I had to pay for.
Because one thing we talk about in the book again is your father didn't have any type of estate plan.
None.
He didn't have a will, nothing. No. And unfortunately, everything went to your stepmom.
Yes. Yes, she's living, or she's passed now. My half-sister is living in my grandmother's home as we speak.
And I know your story. They don't know your story as well. There were things that you can't replace that were part of his estate, like his antique sword collection, card collection, like you said, your grandmother's house, these things you can't, and the memories and stuff. And it probably caused some tension between you and your half sister and your stepmom.
Now you remember growing up, my stepmother was a part of our lives, and
Yes.
when my father died, I soon realized that as you get older, you appreciate your parents so much more.
Yeah.
And I realized I never had a chance to, I don't want to start crying, let my father know how much I appreciated him.
Yeah.
So I decided, and you can ask your dad, I talked about it with him. I decided I was always going to be good to my stepmother and my half sister. And you remember, they were at holidays with us and everything. So I remember at one point my stepmother called me up and she said, I think I'm going to get a life insurance policy because when I die, you and your brothers are not going to get anything. And I don't want there to be any arguing. And I said at that time, you know, it was so far gone, long past my father's passing away. I said, you know, we don't expect to get anything and to not even worry about it. You know, we just didn't. So
I wonder if she would have actually done that, or if that was just kind of a message to you guys to let you know
probably
you're not going to inherit anything.
Yeah. And my brothers were not ever close to my stepmother. So yeah.
Oh, it's interesting. Usually women are the ones that put into relationships like that. And
Yes.
for you to almost honor your father's legacy by remaining family with them.
Yes, yes. And I had
goal?
lived with my, the courts gave my father custody of me when I was 12. So I had lived with my stepmother and my father, my half sister, maybe 3 years. Because after a while I went back to live with my mother because the situation was volatile with my father, with my stepmother actually. So I had lived with them and.
Jeez. And how is your mom with money?
Very, as you know, you know, she was extremely frugal. We'll say that, extremely frugal.
Frugal in certain ways.
Yes.
And as people who know me and they've done my money action plan, they know that we all have different types of personalities. And one of them is being cheap and one of them is being a spender. And I always say there's usually an area in your life where you love to spend money. And I think that was her. Right? She was cheap for the most part when it was bringing us all out to eat. You couldn't get more than the children's menu, you know, like $3.99 burger.
You were told what to order and it was the cheapest thing on the menu.
Yeah, that's what we had to order. But when it came to other areas, like she always was well dressed.
Well, and we both know, and I will say it here, she, our summer vacations, we're watching her face peel. And this was back in the 60s and 70s when it first came. She had, I think, 4 facelifts, her teeth capped, her nose done, and she always had gorgeous clothing.
Her hair always done.
And someone said to me, they said, in fairness, she was on television, so she had to look good. So I've tried to temper my feeling about this on that.
Yeah. It's almost like she convinced herself this is an investment into my career.
Yes.
By looking good, because she did have a children's TV show called Claire and Coco. Coco was your poodle. And then a woman talk show afterwards. And I'm sure when you're in the spotlight like that for so many, and being able to see yourself on TV, I'm sure makes your insecurities come out so much more.
Oh, yes. And they, especially back then, you know, women on television, you had to be slender, young, more so than today.
And she was a tall woman. She was 6 feet tall.
Yes.
Yes. She wasn't, you know, what you picture the sample size will say. She wasn't the sample size at all. But she was tall and she had a big, bright personality.
Very big.
Very feisty personality and stuff. So your upbringing, coming from a divorced parents, is very different from Dad's upbringing, where his parents were together until his father passed away. He grew up Irish community, small town, 5 people to 1 house. You grew up upper middle class in Bethesda, Maryland. Your mom was on TV.
Chevy Chase, which is
Yeah, sorry, Chevy Chase.
Probably one of the most expensive communities in the nation.
And I'm curious because when I work with couples, they both come from different backgrounds, especially when it comes to money. And that usually causes some sort of conflict or disagreement or just not on the same page. Did that ever happen with you and Dad where you had, we'll call them disagreements over money?
Again, when I was raised, no one bought me. I took care of the neighbor who had a stroke at 13 every day after school for $1 an hour, porta potty and everything, like bedpan and everything. No one ever bought me clothes or anything. So, and paying my way through college, and your father and I, all my college loans and all, we lived in a $275 basement apartment when we were first married. So we both had nothing, and we worked together so it's not like I was raised in the lap of luxury where I always had cars and clothes, even though I did grow up in an upper middle class community. So we were kind of on the same page, really, about, the money just wasn't there. So it's been nice in that way. Although I always say your father would very much rather invest the money than do like home repair or anything like that. So I remember one time he called me in and I worked with him, and he called me into his office and he said, I had just brought you and your brother to the hairdresser and I had my hair done, and the bill was quite large, and he yelled at me, and I said, it doesn't matter. I'm never going to stop coloring my hair, except for during the coronavirus and having my hair done. So, and I'm not changing hairdressers. So
deal with it.
I wouldn't let him bully me.
Yeah. You brought up something that I kind of want to touch on, is growing up in an upper middle class setting, we'll say, but not really having the luxury of that.
Yes.
Did you ever feel, because I kind of felt like this in high school because I went to a private high school, a lot of wealth there.
A lot.
Did you ever feel like you didn't fit in?
I really never did. And I wasn't the popular girl in any way, shape, or form. And did not fit in. And I was rebellious. And then I decided in high school I better get my act together. Yeah. And do well in school and stop getting in trouble. And I went back to live with my father. Mm-hmm. And I went to a small private school for a year and got great grades, did really well in college. But yeah, I never fit in. And again, was very rebellious and not really, I had no structure at home. As you know, my stepfather was an alcoholic. My mother was extremely unstable. Mm-hmm. And so when I was a hellion and did not fit in, I was the odd kid. Yeah. I was the kid that I would not want you to hang out with in high school.
But we find ways to try to fit in. So by you rebelling, you're kind of putting out there to everybody, I'm not even trying to fit in because I know I don't fit in.
Yeah.
You're kind of putting up a wall almost, right?
Yes. Yes. That's a wonderful way of viewing it, Jess. Yeah.
Now, what money values did you and Dad want to instill on John and me? John being my older brother, who's also in the industry.
Here's the thing, as you know, well, because everyone argued over who was going to buy us clothes or do our teeth, or I tended to give you guys everything you wanted. However, we
overcompensate a little bit.
Oh, I did. I know, and as I do with the grandchildren. Your father. That was probably a part of, a little bit of arguments over that. So your father wanted to instill in you the best concepts of money, of how to deal with money. and I think he did a great job. What I instilled in you, and he as well, was a strong work ethic.
Yes. Always working harder. This is what I remember growing up is you always would spend money on John and me first before the house. So you would rather us go to a basketball camp or go on vacation with us before getting living room furniture.
Yeah, we had living.
That's what I remember.
After 15 years, we lived in our home before we had living room. We had family room furniture, though.
Who needs a living room? This is it.
And we always sent you to private and parochial school. Yeah. And
You seem to always kind of put our needs first. And it's funny because that's opposite of how you grew up. And we tend to go to one extreme to the next. Stuff. One of my, and I usually talk about this, is one of my memories growing up. As you know, we still do love shopping together.
Oh, yes.
We would get so excited. We would always talk each other into getting things. And we would get home, and you know exactly what I'm going to say. You would say, "Leave the bags in the trunk, Jess."
I would.
We thought we were very sneaky. We're going to get past the big guy, past Dad. And we would get home.
I was working at this time, so.
Yeah, no, it was your money too. I was saying that. But we thought we were so sneaky. We get in the house and he'd go, "Oh, that's amazing. You went to the mall for 3 hours and you came home with nothing." And I will say, it did send me a conflicting message because with you spending money was a lot of fun. But then we get home and it's like, oh, we shouldn't have spent that money.
Yes.
And I kind of say I'm kind of bipolar with spending money to this day because it is fun to enjoy our money today, but finding that balance of enjoying today and saving for tomorrow is a hard thing for most people to grasp.
I think your father and I complement each other very well on that. He reins me in, and then I say, "Hey, you know what, honey? Let's buy the fountain for the front yard because it's going to look so pretty and it's going to give us so much joy sitting on the front porch."
Yeah.
That type of thing.
We'll talk about the fulfillment factor, right? How much fulfillment will this one purchase be?
Yes.
If it's a dress that you get to wear and you wear it once a year versus a fountain for outside that everyone gets to enjoy, very different fulfillment factors and stuff. So that's a good point. And I do remember.
You have to know how much money you have. I don't know if you remember when I first started working with your father, we put in the built-in bookshelves in the library, we put the fence in, we finished that was the money that I made. So that's how we balanced it. I would make the money, then we would spend it on the home, and then he wouldn't be aggravated. It worked out well.
Yeah, it's finding your system.
Yes.
Everyone's system's going to be a little bit different. And I do remember you telling people that you want to enjoy the money with your family.
Yes.
John, me, our kids, instead of leaving it all in your will.
Well, you know, my mother, who never spent a dime on anyone, except for herself, ended up leaving me, you know, few $100,000, and you know, which we put away for retirement. But it always broke my heart that she didn't. I would rather have had memories with her.
Yeah.
Fun memories.
And seeing it. Yeah. It's interesting when you talk to people in your shoes who now have kids and grandkids and to see their different perspectives on it, because I know what your and dad's view is, and then there's some who say, "I've done enough for the kids, this is my time."
Yes.
And they call themselves skiers. Spend, kids, inheritance. Call themselves skiers. And then there's other people who they want to make sure they leave $1 million to the kids. There's some amount of money that they have in their mind that they have to leave the kids. But I think it also changes as you see your kids more established and getting their own money, more independent, and like they don't need it as much.
Yes.
As when they're in college, just out of college, starting a family too. then it's probably better to do what you're doing and enjoy it all together, going on trips together.
Yes. And as you know, your father's a financial planner. For you and John, everything is all set for you guys for afterwards. So the money we spend on you is, that's money that is available for that. I mean, we could sock it away for you guys, but we enjoy it. We have really good times together as family.
We do have fun. Coronavirus and all, shut down and all, we still have fun. I'm so excited to talk to you at my quiet office and have some wine. I told Mom I felt like an alcoholic. I was bringing wine in via a Yeti mug. Don't tell my husband who's a cop that. But it's really cool to see most parents, when I see their kids go off to college, it's hard for them to find each other again.
Yes.
And I just love how much you and Dad have really had a ton of fun since we've left the nest. So I guess we were holding you guys back.
And as you remember, we never really took vacations without you.
Yeah.
And we never, and we both, we talked about it early on in marriage, and we both wanted children so badly. And we both wanted to wait until I could stay home for a period of time to raise them. And we both decided, I remember my mother trying to reconnect with me later on in life. And I looked at her and I go, and I didn't say it out loud, but I thought, it's too late, Mom. You were never there when I needed you or when I was young, ever. She was never there, but now you want, and I have my own life. And I was very good to my mother. I was always there for her and spent time with her. But I had said to your father, I want to make sure that we are there and we enjoy the kids when they're young, when they want to be with us, they have the time to be with us, and they don't have their own family. And we did that. So you're right. When you all graduated from high school, went off to college, I thought, the kids have been everything to us,
Your weekends, your nights.
It's been really fun. We've had a good, I'm really enjoying this period of my life. I really am.
I loved how you said that about your mom and wanting to do it differently with us, because I do, one of my presentations is about the 3 retirement lies we tell ourselves. And the first lie is that we have plenty of time to save. And I compare it to raising children. And imagine if I said the same thing about my kids. I have plenty of time to be with them later. I don't need to be with them now. When they're young, the fundamental time is the most important time to be with them.
Yep.
That's when you can make an impact. And like you said, if I came back to them 20 years later, they'd be like, who is this woman?
Yes.
Who's this chick trying to tell me how to live my life? She hasn't been there the first 20 years.
I know. And when I go to the park and I see, especially fathers, but mothers too, and they never look up from their phone. They're not interacting with their children at all. And I'm, me, I'm on the swing set with the grandkids, running through tunnels, going down slides. And the other children come over to play with us because their parents don't want anything to do with them. And I never would, but I feel like going over and saying, enjoy them, because you know what?
Yeah.
They're going to be gone in a heartbeat. They're going to grow up so quickly.
We all kind of need those boundaries with technology and work and family. And when they get mushy like that, nobody's getting your full attention and nobody wins.
Yes.
You're kind of so scattered and stuff. Well, thank you so much for being on our Wine and Wealth, Mom. I love having you. I love talking with you. And I learned some you have amazing stories. You've lived the life you have.
Read the book. It's interesting.
Yeah. Proud Strong Woman Stronger asks if you want to know more about her mom, the alcoholic stepdad, Fred, who had 2 mistresses. And we'll leave it at that. And the biggest lesson of all is knowing exactly where your money is, what's going on with your money, the consequences of it, because a small mistake with money is a lot of money.
And you're right in the sense that you really need to instill the right values in your children as far as money, so they don't have lifelong problems.
Yeah.
Like my father.
Exactly. And if you don't know what money values you want to instill, reach out, because sometimes you're just going through life and you don't realize how negative what you say about money is, or the conflict you're having with your spouse about money. I was speaking at Rutgers and I asked the kids to raise their hand if they ever saw their parents fight about money.
Wow.
Every kid raised their hand. Every kid raised their hand. And now the repercussion of that is they won't bring up money around their now partner or spouse because they know it leads to fighting.
Yeah.
And that's a very scary place to be. So, like you said, realizing how you are with money, what your kids are perceiving, because they see everything. My daughter Andy, she grabs her purse, her lipstick, her phone, and her computer, and she goes, "Bye, mommy. I'm going to work." "Where are you going to work?" "The money store." She's mirroring exactly what I do. Lipstick and phone, everything.
That's so sweet. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So they catch on fast.
They do. They do. And she's a real smarty too. She's very smart.
We would have had her on today, but we would have been very productive.
No.
But cheers to you, Mom. Thanks for being an amazing
Cheers.
mom and role model. I love you so much.
And thanks for being an astounding daughter. Love you.
Love you too.
Bye, honey.